The next morning felt strangely calm, the kind of morning where sunlight slips through the curtains softly and everything seems a little easier, a little lighter. Maybe it was the good energy from the previous night, or maybe it was the fact that I couldn't shake the thought of her smile. Without overthinking, I picked up my phone and typed, "Hey, I have a free afternoon today. Want to go somewhere peaceful?" For a moment, I wasn't even sure she'd see it right away. She must have had 1,000 messages per hour. But her reply came almost instantly. "Sure. You pick the place." I smiled. Simple. Easy. But then, another message popped up. "How about Webster's Falls? I heard it's beautiful. And didn't they film part of The Wrong Turn there?" I blinked at my screen. Out of all places, out of all movie references, she picked exactly the one place I loved and mentioned the one movie I'd watched 100 times as a kid. It felt like some cosmic coincidence. Or she secretly knew everything about me. Which was impossible, of course. Perfect choice. "I'll pick you up at noon." The moment I hit send, I suddenly became aware of the time. I had 2 hours. 2 hours to figure out what to wear for something that wasn't a date, but also wasn't not a date. I eventually chose something simple, a t-shirt and jeans. Nothing, trying too hard. By 12 p.m. sharp, I pulled up outside her hotel again. The doors slid open, and there she was, stepping out with the ease of someone who knew how to blend in when she wanted. No makeup, no glam, just a simple green shirt tucked into blue jeans, and she put her sunglasses on her head. Even like this, maybe especially like this. She looked unreal. She opened the car door and gave me a soft smile. "Hey." "Hey," I said back, trying to act normal. "Ready for some hiking?" She laughed, that warm, genuine laugh that always felt like sunlight. "I'm a Texas girl. I can handle a little walking." "That sounds like a challenge," I replied. "It is," she grinned. The drive to Webster's Falls started quietly, but the comfortable kind of quiet. After a minute, she reached over and turned up the music. We rolled down the windows, letting the summer air fill the car. The sky was bright blue with only a few clouds floating like cotton. She started scrolling through my playlist. "You have good taste," she said. "That means I passed the vibe check?" She shook her head. "Barely. But you're getting there." Somewhere between the songs and the open sky, she started singing. Softly at first, then louder when she realized I knew the lyrics too. It wasn't a performance. It was playful, goofy, real. I joined in off-key as ever, and she laughed through half the verse. By the time we reached the parking area, the sound of rushing water had already reached us. She leaned forward in her seat like a kid seeing something magical for the first time. "Oh, wow. And we're not even close yet." "Just wait," I said. We stepped out of the car, and nature greeted us instantly. Birds chirping in every direction, the breeze carrying the scent of trees and damp earth. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. "This feels like a different world," she whispered. "I needed this." We started walking toward the trail, the sound of the waterfall growing louder with each step. She stopped every few feet. "Wait, this angle is pretty." "Hold on, this lighting is magical." One more picture. At one point I joked, "At this rate, we'll reach the waterfall by sunset." She hit my arm lightly. "Let me be aesthetic in peace." We walked on, side by side, sunlight slipping through the trees above us. And somewhere deep down, I already knew. This was going to be a day neither of us would forget. The moment the trail opened up, the breathtaking sight of Webster's Falls spread out before us. Tall, powerful cascades crashing into the pool below, mist floating in the air like fragile smoke. Sunlight hit the water just right, making the entire scene shimmer. Selena froze for a second, hand lifting slowly to her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. "It's beautiful." I watched her take it in, not the waterfall, her. The way her expression softened, the way her shoulders relaxed, the way her whole face lit up in genuine awe. It was like seeing sunlight find its home. She pulled out her phone immediately. "Okay, I need like 10 pictures, minimum." "Only 10?" I joked. She laughed. "Fine, 20. And just like that, we became tourists for a while. She walked around, trying to find the perfect angle. Sometimes she'd run ahead, sometimes she'd call me over, sometimes she'd almost slip and grab my arm in reflex, laughing breathlessly every time. At one point, she held her phone up. "Come here, one selfie." I stepped closer. Our shoulders brushed lightly, and we smiled into the camera with the waterfall behind us. The photo came out slightly tilted, slightly blurry, but perfect in a way that posed photos could never be. She looked at it and laughed. "We look like two kids on a school trip." "I'll take that," I said. We walked further down the trail until we found a huge old tree with wide, arching branches. The ground beneath it was cool and shaded, and from here, the waterfall looked almost dreamlike. Soft mist floated our way every few seconds. Without asking, she sat down on the grass and leaned back on her hands. "This spot looks stolen from a movie," she murmured. I sat beside her, our knees almost touching. For a few minutes, neither of us spoke. It wasn't awkward, just peaceful. Finally, she said quietly, "It's crazy how quiet it is here. I forget what silence feels like sometimes." I glanced at her. "I guess that's the price of being famous." She let out a slow breath, lifting her face to the sky. "Yeah. Sometimes people don't let me just be. Even when they're nice, it's like they're interacting with a version of me they built in their heads." I stayed quiet, letting her speak. "And days like this," she continued, running her fingers gently through the grass. "They remind me that I'm still a person. I still like simple things. Nature, quiet places, places where no one is staring." "I get that," I said softly. She turned her head slightly toward me. "And you always talk to me like I'm normal, like I'm just Selena, not the girl on billboards." I shrugged lightly. "Because you are just Selena, and that's already more than enough." Her eyes softened in a way I hadn't seen before. "You always say things like that," she whispered. "You make me feel seen." I didn't know how to respond. The moment was too real, too raw. So I just met her gaze and smiled. We ended up sitting there for hours, sometimes talking deeply about dreams and fears, sometimes laughing about silly stuff, like how she once tripped on stage in front of 20,000 people, or how I once got stuck inside a revolving door. Now and then, she would close her eyes and listen to the waterfall. "You hear that?" she'd ask. "That's peace." Around us, the sunlight shifted from bright gold to soft orange. Shadows stretched across the grass. The air grew cooler. We didn't realize we'd spent nearly the entire day there until the first hints of evening settled in. And somehow, no part of me wanted the moment to end. The drive back to her hotel was quiet and calm, the soft hum of the Nissan Juke blending with the fading sounds of the city. Selena sat beside me wearing her simple green shirt and jeans, sunglasses perched on her face, hair gently swaying with the movement of the car. No makeup, no fancy outfit, just her natural self, and it was enough to make my heart race. We chatted lightly, reminiscing about the waterfall, joking about our failed selfies, and laughing quietly at small moments. The warmth of the day lingered in the car, a comfortable bubble that made the world outside fade away. As we neared her hotel, the streets were bathed in the golden glow of the evening sun. I parked outside the entrance, surrounded by the familiar hum of traffic and the distant sounds of the city. Selena turned slightly toward me, a soft smile beneath her sunglasses. "Thanks for today," she said, her voice gentle but sincere. "I'll remember this. The waterfall, the hike, everything." I smiled, trying to capture all the words I wanted to say in a simple response. Me too. It was special. We stepped out of the car, the cool evening air wrapping around us. She adjusted her shirt and ran a hand through her hair, glancing at the hotel entrance. You made this normal, comfortable. I needed that. You deserved it, I replied softly. A little time away from everything else. She turned to face me fully, giving a small, warm smile. I'm glad you were here. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air carried a quiet intimacy, a pause that felt like the perfect ending to a perfect day. Good night, she whispered. Good night, I replied, voice steady but full of warmth. And this time it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like something was just beginning.